The old woman stumbled through the snow, her chest burning with every breath. Agnes Park, 73, felt her ribs ache as if her body itself was rejecting the words her son had just hurled at her. "Get out! I don't want you here anymore." The sentence still echoed in her skull, sharper than the wind. Her legs buckled, dropping her into a drift by the alley wall. Cold bit through the thin thrift store coat. With shaking fingers, she pulled a small tin from a plastic grocery bag and opened it. Inside lay a sun-faded photograph, her boy in a little league cap, gap-toothed and grinning. She traced the crease across his cheek. "Daniel," she whispered, and the name made a small white cloud that vanished as if the night refused to keep it. "Before we begin, let me know where you are watching from. Leave your country name in the comments below. And if you love stories about courage, loyalty, and community, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next stories." Snow shuffled at the alley mouth. A German Shepherd K9 stepped into view, ears pricked, breath fuming, presence quiet but decisive, the kind of stillness that means trained, not tame. "Shadow," a steady voice called. Noah Ramirez, early 40s, moved out of the storm, camouflage uniform under a battered field jacket, knit cap low, boots that knew ice. He saw Agnes in the drift and dropped to one knee without asking permission, hands open, palms warm against the night. "You okay, Mum?" Agnes tried for words, they tangled. "My only son chased me away from home." Shadow eased down beside her, flank against her shin, sharing heat. Noah's gaze flicked to the tin, to the tremor in her hands, back to her face. "I'm Noah. This is Shadow. Tonight you're not alone." He helped her up carefully, not rushing a body that had already endured too much. The truck idled at the curb, cab a pocket of heat. Inside, he draped a wool blanket over her knees and nudged the heater higher. Shadow hopped to the back seat and stretched his head between the fronts, watching her like a medic. "Name?" Noah asked gently. "Agnes." She forced a swallow. "Agnes Park. I'm glad we found you, Miss Park." He slid a travel mug into her hands. Small sips. Steam stung her lips. She took a swallow, coughed once, and found herself crying without noise. Noah didn't fill the space with apologies. He adjusted the heater vent toward her hands and glanced out at the quiet street. Porch lights gone dim, curtains drawn, a neighborhood pretending not to notice winter or pain. A chain glinted at his collar, a small brass locket, thumbs smoothed from years of handling. Agnes noticed. Noah touched it once with his knuckle, protective, not secret. "What happened tonight?" he asked. Agnes cradled the tin and looked past the windshield to the house at the end of the alley, the porch light that used to mean come home, now a pale coin above a door that wouldn't open for her. "We argued. Stupid things, the cooktop, the bill, how I stack plates. He said I was turning his home into a museum for ghosts. He said he needed space." Her voice thinned. "It's his house. I sold mine so he could buy it." Noah nodded once, a soldier's way of saying, "I hear you. Space isn't exile, not in a storm." The porch light clicked off. Darkness flattened the house. Agnes flinched like someone trained by years to make herself smaller. Shadow's tail tapped once against the seat, measured reassurance. Noah keyed the radio, clipped to his dash. "Dispatch Ramirez, welfare check at 214 Juniper, elderly female displaced, possible domestic." A calm voice came back through static. "Copy. Unit en route. ETA 3 minutes. Any weapons?" "Unknown," Noah said, eyes still on the house. Agnes tensed. "Please don't make it worse. He gets angry." "Let him be angry at me," Noah said. "I've worn worse names than the neighbor who called." She breathed out, shaky. To ground herself, she opened the tin again. The little boy's grin hadn't learned how to say cruel things yet. "He used to bring me dandelions," she said. He called them gold flowers. "My mum kept a shoebox full of paper medals," Noah said, thumb rubbing the locket's face. "Said they were better than the real kind." A cruiser slid in behind the truck, blue light frosting the snow before the officer cut it. The young cop hunched against the cold, one hand resting where training told it to, eyes taking cues. "Evening," he said. "You the call?" "I'm the call," Noah said. "She's Agnes. We keep it low and kind." The officer nodded, grateful for orders that sounded like decency. "I'll try the door." "I'll walk with you." Noah glanced to Shadow. "Stay," he told the dog softly. Shadow obeyed but inched forward until his chin found Agnes's knee, anchoring her to the warm, the here. Noah and the officer crossed the lawn, boots whispering in snow. At the porch, they scanned windows by habit and knocked 2 crisp beats. A shape moved behind frosted glass. A chain rattled. The door opened the width of a palm. "Daniel Park?" Noah asked. A man in his 30s, red-rimmed eyes, jaw clenched, stared through the gap. "Who's asking?" "Neighbor," Noah said, because titles weren't going to help. He tipped his head toward the truck. "Your mother is freezing. We're going to talk without anyone doing something we can't take back." Daniel's mouth twitched. "She can't just show up. I told her—" "What you told her," Noah said softly, "doesn't cancel who she is." The chain didn't move. From the truck, Shadow's ears snapped toward the alley. A low rumble built in his chest, not for the men on the porch, but for the night behind them. Noah's spine registered it first, then his mind. He turned his head a fraction. The alley mouth, a van drifted to a stop with its headlights off. Engine muttered, then died. The side door cracked an inch. No one got out. The street's hush turned purposeful. "Officer," Noah said without shifting his stance. "I see it," the cop murmured, hand brushing his radio. Daniel's eyes flicked past them, his anger tripping over something colder. "What is that?" "Maybe nothing," Noah said. "Maybe something that doesn't belong on your street at midnight." The van's door slid another inch on greased rails. No chatter, no music, just the soft mechanical sound of a choice getting made. Noah breathed once and let training stack inside him like blocks, cover, angles, civilians, exits. He looked back at the chain. "Daniel, lock the door and move to the back of the house, now." Daniel hesitated, then pulled the chain free and shut the door. The deadbolt thudded into place. Noah and the officer turned to face the alley. Snow sifted from a gutter. A neighbor's upstairs lamp went dark, the ordinary reflex to extraordinary moments. Don't get involved. Noah rolled his shoulders back. The locket warmed under his shirt as if memory had heat. In the cab, Agnes felt Shadow's rumble through the seat and straightened. "What is it?" she whispered to nobody. Her breath fogged the glass, drawing a soft oval that made the world look nearer. The officer angled his body, one eye on the van, one on the houses. "Backup is 2 minutes," he said into his mic. 2 minutes is an eternity when you need 30 seconds, Noah said. He squared himself between the van and the truck, between strangers and a woman who had already been told she didn't belong anywhere. "Sir," he called, voice steady, carrying. "Vehicle at the alley. Stay inside and identify yourself." Silence. Shadow's growl deepened. No bark, just a long line of "I see you." The van's side door slid wider. A figure's outline, thick coat, hood up, hovered behind the frame. A small, clean click cut the air, metal against metal, intimate and unmistakable to any soldier. Noah didn't raise his hands or his voice. He moved half a step to widen the angle away from the truck, body already doing the math of shields and lines. The officer mirrored him, rifle still down, muzzle a degree off the snow. "Last warning," Noah said, calm as if reciting a grocery list. "Stay in the vehicle." A second shape shifted inside the van. Snow hissed like static. Behind glass, Agnes pressed the photo to her chest and whispered to the boy whose face she remembered more clearly than the man who'd sent her into the night. "Please, God." Shadow's body sank a fraction, ready to launch if the math of mercy ran out. A porch light flicked on at the far end of the block. Someone else, finally awake. The van's interior wavered, decision teetering. And then, from inside the dark belly of the vehicle, another sound, small but final, a safety snapping off. The street held its breath. Shadow's growl stopped so suddenly the silence rang. Some nights end with apologies. This one ended with the sound of something about to begin. The alley froze in silence, the kind that carries more weight than noise. The van's side door had opened far enough to reveal a shadow inside. A metallic click whispered through the snow, safety off. Noah Ramirez felt his body respond before thought. Knees bent, weight forward, hand steady near his jacket seam. The locket against his chest burned like a brand, a reminder of promises already buried in the ground. Shadow, his German shepherd, no longer growled. He had gone perfectly still, muscles loaded, eyes pinned to the van. From the truck, Agnes Park pressed her palm to the window. The heat of her breath fogged a small circle of glass. Her whisper, to no one, "Please, God," seeped into the night, fragile but insistent. The young officer by Noah's side had his radio keyed. "Dispatch, Unit 7, suspicious van, alley off Juniper, 2 minutes too long, send backup faster." Static crackled. A voice responded, clipped. "En route, hold position." Hold. Noah almost laughed at the word. Holding was what Agnes had done for 73 years, what had just broken her heart. He angled his shoulders wide, making his body the shield between the truck and the threat. "Driver," he called, calm but sharp. "You're lit up on welfare check. Step out with hands where we can see." The shadow didn't move. The officer's voice rose a notch. "Step out!" Instead, the door slid the rest of the way. A figure in a heavy coat stepped down, snow crunching. No words, no surrender, just the outline of something long and cold in his hand. Noah's breath flattened. Rifle. He glanced once at the officer, silent communication. "Cover left, I take center. Training never leaves." "Agnes," Noah called without looking back, his voice the same one he had used in sandstorms and firefights. "Get down, keep your head low." In the cab, Agnes obeyed instantly, crouching until Shadow's growl vibrated the metal under her. The dog's restraint was a miracle of discipline, his body screaming to launch, but waiting for Noah's signal. "Before we begin, let me know where you are watching from. Leave your country name in the comments below, and if you love stories about courage, loyalty, and community, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next stories." The figure in the snow raised his arm halfway. The officer drew. Noah barked, "Don't!" But he wasn't warning the cop. He was warning the man. "Think," Noah said, his tone cutting through wind. "You're standing in front of a patrol car. You've got blue lights on your chest. One choice ends you tonight. The other sends you home alive." The man hesitated, grip trembling. Behind him, the van's interior shifted. Another silhouette, another hand, this one tugging him back. Agnes pressed the photo tin to her chest, whispering Daniel's name. For a heartbeat, she wasn't sure which son she was praying for. Snow fell harder, muffling everything but breath and heartbeat. The figure's shoulders dropped, the rifle lowered an inch. A voice from inside the van hissed, angry, urgent. He turned back, torn between two commands. Noah's hand hovered. Shadow's ears twitched, waiting. The night balanced on a knife. And then, from the far end of the block, another patrol car roared into view, siren clipped, lights flashing, breaking the deadlock. The van's engine coughed alive. The silhouettes scrambled. The first man leapt back inside. The side door slammed. Tires spun, snow spraying. The van fishtailed, then tore down the street into darkness. The officer exhaled, rifle still aimed. "They're running." "Let them," Noah said, voice flat. This wasn't about a fight. It was about fear. Shadow relaxed fractionally, but his eyes stayed on the street. Agnes lifted her head from the window. Tears cut clean lines through the frost on her cheeks. Her whisper carried just far enough. "Why would strangers stop here, tonight of all nights?" Noah didn't answer. He was staring at the locket under his jacket, thumb tapping its face, as if searching for a message that might explain why some storms always arrive when hearts are already broken. And in the retreating roar of the van, the night left a question too heavy for any one person to carry alone. The second patrol car idled at the mouth of the block, exhaust rising like a signal flare. Its headlights swept the snow, then cut out, leaving the neighborhood half buried again in shadow. The van was gone, but the silence it left behind wasn't relief. It was a bruise. Noah Ramirez kept his stance, eyes on the dark street, every instinct telling him that unfinished business doesn't stay gone. Shadow sat at his heel, body taut, tail still. The shepherd's steady breathing grounded Noah as much as his own heartbeat. In the cab of the truck, Agnes Park dared to sit up again, clutching the tin against her chest. Her hands trembled, but her spine had stiffened. The danger outside had forced her into clarity. Fear was sharper than grief, and yet somehow both pressed together until she couldn't tell them apart. The young officer lowered his rifle slowly. His voice shook with adrenaline he didn't want to admit. "They weren't here by accident. A random van doesn't idle in a storm, then open the door when we knock a house." Noah nodded once. "They were waiting, or watching?" "For her." The officer's glance slid toward the truck. Noah didn't answer right away. He studied the snow for tire impressions, the speed of the van's departure, the way the figures had argued before retreating. Patterns, always patterns. He finally said, "They knew someone here was vulnerable." Agnes cracked the door of the truck with her shoulder, letting cold slap her face. "You think they came for me?" Her voice wavered, but carried enough strength to demand truth. Noah turned, his eyes softened, but he didn't lie. Sometimes predators circle the houses where the lights go out. People talk, they guess who's alone. But tonight, you weren't. Agnes closed the door again, pressing her forehead to the steering wheel. Alone, that was the word that had cut deepest when Daniel said it. The first patrol officer keyed his radio. "Dispatch, suspects fled in dark van, unknown plates, heading north Juniper. 2 male occupants confirmed. Notify units." His breath steadied as procedure took over. The second patrol car rolled closer. Its driver stepped out, a stocky woman with frost on her lashes. She took one look at Noah's posture and didn't waste time with pleasantries. "You saw faces?" "Not clear," Noah said. "One armed, one pulling the strings." The woman swore under her breath. "They'll circle back or switch cars. Either way, this block isn't safe for long." Agnes lifted her head. Her cheeks were streaked, but her voice was clear. "Please, don't go to my son. Don't bring him into this. He already thinks I ruin everything." Noah's jaw flexed. "Agnes, this isn't about blame anymore. It's about safety." But before he could press further, the door of the house opened again. Daniel Park stepped onto the porch, shoulders hunched inside a hoodie. His eyes darted from the patrol cars to the truck, to Noah. "What's going on?" Agnes shrank against the seat. The young officer moved toward him. "Sir, please step inside. We'll handle it." Daniel frowned. "Why are cops on my lawn? Did she call you?" Noah stepped forward, positioning himself between Daniel and the truck, the same geometry as before. A van stopped at the alley. Armed men. They may have been watching this house. Daniel's face drained. He glanced over his shoulder, then back at Noah. That's impossible." "Why impossible?" Noah asked. Daniel opened his mouth, shut it, then forced a laugh that had no air in it. It doesn't make sense. Nothing happens on this street. It's quiet." Shadow's ears pricked at the false note. The dog rose, head tilting. Agnes cracked the window. Her voice was small but urgent. "Daniel, is there something you haven't told me?" Daniel's eyes flashed toward her. Anger, shame, fear, all in one. "You shouldn't even be here." Agnes flinched. "I'm your mother." Silence stretched. The patrol officers shifted, uneasy. Noah broke it, voice steady. "Daniel, listen to me. If there's something you've done that drew these men here, tonight isn't the night to protect your pride. You'll put your mother in their crosshairs." Daniel's throat worked. For a moment, it looked like he might crack, but then his jaw set, and he retreated a step toward the door. "I don't know anything, just Take her. I can't deal with this. Agnes's breath left her in a sob, fogging the glass. Noah watched Daniel vanish into the dark house. The porch light snapped off again. The stocky officer swore softly. He's hiding something. Yeah, Noah said. He tapped his locket once, a habit when truth sat just out of reach. And it's going to come back before dawn. Shadow growled, low, as if confirming it. Noah turned to Agnes, who clutched the photograph like a rosary. We'll move you. Now. She nodded weakly, tears dripping into her lap. But inside, a harder truth stirred. Daniel's secret wasn't about dandelions or Little League anymore. It was something dangerous, something that could kill. And as the patrol cars formed a convoy around Noah's truck, the snow muffled everything but the quiet certainty that Agnes's heartbreak was only the beginning of this night. The convoy rolled slow through the snow, Noah's truck in the middle, a patrol car front and back, blue lights cutting the night into shards. Agnes Park sat rigid in the passenger seat, the tin in her lap, photo trembling inside. Shadow kept his chin balanced across the console, gaze sliding from window to window, as if he knew danger didn't vanish just because wheels were moving. Noah drove steady, knuckles pale on the wheel. The locket under his jacket pressed warm against his chest, a pulse he hadn't invited but needed. Every sense told him the van wasn't done. Predators don't retreat, they circle. "Where are you taking me?" Agnes asked, voice barely above the hum of the heater. "Station first," Noah said. "Safe walls, warm light. After that, we'll find options." Her lips trembled. "And Daniel?" Noah exhaled through his nose. "Right now, your son chose to shut the door. My job is to make sure you're alive when he decides to open it again." Shadow shifted, ears twitching. Noah followed his line of sight in the mirror. Behind, the patrol car's lights strobed against fresh snow, but something darker slid between the beams, headlights low, cutting in and out of sight. "Rear car, you see that tail?" Noah spoke into his radio. Static hissed, then, "Affirmative. Black SUV, no plates. Been hugging our lane since Juniper." Agnes clutched the tin tighter. "It's them." The SUV's lights snapped off. For 3 breaths, only the patrol's blue glow washed the snow. Then beams flared bright again, closer than before. "Driver accelerating!" the rear officer shouted. The SUV lunged forward, tires spitting ice. Noah cursed under his breath. "Shadow, brace!" The Shepherd flattened, ready. The rear patrol car swerved, cutting across the lane. Metal screamed against snow. The SUV clipped the bumper, fishtailed, then recovered. Still coming. Agnes whimpered, pressing the photo to her chest. "Why us?" Noah didn't answer. He threw the truck into a tighter line behind the lead cruiser. His mind raced. Daniel, the van, the too quick fear on the porch. Something tied them together. The radio spat orders. "Units converge on Ridge 7. Intercept inbound SUV. Ramirez, hold position. Hold. Always hold." But the SUV wasn't waiting. It swung wide, angling for the flank. Noah's jaws set. He reached down, tapped the locket once, as if for courage he couldn't admit out loud. "Not tonight," he muttered. He yanked the wheel. The truck skidded sideways, snow pluming. The SUV slammed past, missing the cab by inches, then vanished into the drift ahead. For a heartbeat, silence. Then the lead cruiser called. "Visual lost. Suspect vehicle turned off ridge." Agnes sagged into her seat, breath hitching. "They'll come back. I know they will." Noah steadied his hands on the wheel. "Maybe, but they'll find us ready." He glanced at Shadow. The dog's eyes were locked forward, steady as a gun barrel. Noah felt the truth in it. Whatever storm had driven strangers to chase an old woman into the night, this was only the opening chapter. The convoy pushed on through the snow, every light a promise, every shadow a threat. And in the dark, back on Juniper Street, the porch light flicked on again. Inside that house, Daniel sat with his head in his hands, a phone on the table, numbers dialed halfway. His secrets pressed against him like wolves against thin glass. He didn't know if he was calling for rescue or delivering the next attack. The station lights glowed faint through the storm, a square of safety rising out of the white. Noah Ramirez guided the truck into the lot, tires crunching salt. Shadow stood before the engine even cut, muscles taut, nose testing the wind. The shepherd didn't trust walls, he trusted what his body told him. Inside the passenger seat, Agnes Park leaned against the glass. The photograph tin rested in her lap, edges damp from her grip. For a second she looked like she might sleep, but her eyes were open, following ghosts. Daniel used to wait for me by the window when he was little. I could see his shadow before I opened the door. Her voice broke. Now he turns the light off. Noah killed the ignition. Some shadows run from light. Doesn't mean the light failed. He opened her door and helped her down, careful with her fragile balance. Patrol officers moved ahead, scanning the lot. Snow hissed under floodlights. The sergeant on duty ushered them inside. Heat rolled like a tide. Fluorescent bulbs hummed. Agnes sank into a chair in the waiting room, shadow laying across her boots as if chaining her to safety. Noah stood with the sergeant. Black SUV tailed us from Juniper, same group as the van. The sergeant nodded grim. We put eyes on the roads, but this feels bigger than a random hit. His glance cut toward Agnes. Her son involved? Noah's jaw tightened. He wanted to protect her from the question, but truth doesn't wait for permission. He's hiding something. When we knocked, he froze at that van like he knew what it meant. Agnes's head snapped up. Don't, she pleaded. Don't drag him further. He's my son. Noah crouched in front of her, eyes level. Agnes, I need you to hear me. Protecting him with silence could kill you. Whatever debt or trouble he's tangled in, it brought men with rifles to your street. That doesn't stay outside. Her hands shook around the photo tin. He's not bad. He's lost. Lost can be found, Noah said, but not if you're buried first. Before she could answer, the station doors banged open. 2 deputies half-dragged a man through the snow and into the light. Daniel Park. His hoodie was soaked, shoes caked. His eyes darted everywhere but his mother. I came in on my own, he blurted. They're after me, not her, Agnes gasped, rising unsteady. Daniel? He flinched at her voice. Mom, you shouldn't have stayed. You don't understand. Noah stood. Then make us understand. Daniel's chest heaved. I owed money. Just a job, just a little. I thought I could flip it quick, but it got bigger. They wanted collateral. They said... He stopped, face crumpling. They said family is leverage. Agnes covered her mouth. The photo tin slipped from her lap, clattering against tile. Noah's voice was steel. So they came for her. Daniel's eyes watered. I didn't know I swear I didn't know. The sergeant barked to a deputy. Get him in an interview room. Agnes stepped forward, but Shadow rose, blocking her gently, pressing her back to the chair. She collapsed into it, tears spilling. My boy, she whispered, my only boy. Noah watched Daniel disappear down the hall. He touched his locket, thumb grinding the metal, memory hot. May, what would you say? The sergeant muttered. This just escalated. They'll hit again before dawn. Noah nodded. Then we're not waiting for them to choose the ground. He turned to Agnes. Her shoulders shook, but her chin lifted through the tears. Please, don't let them take him. Or me. Noah crouched, Shadow pressing in close beside him. I don't promise outcomes, I promise effort, and you won't face it alone. Outside, tires screamed against snow. A crash reverberated against the station walls. Shouts erupted in the lobby. The SUV was back. And in the flood of headlights cutting the lot, Noah realized the storm had only shifted shape. It hadn't ended at all. The crash shook the windows of the small-town station. Frost rattled loose from the frames. A deputy sprinted past the lobby shouting, Impact at the north lot, armed suspects. Noah Ramirez was already moving, the locket under his jacket burning like fire against his chest. Shadow exploded upright with a bark that cut. through the chaos, then pressed to Noah's side, waiting for the signal. Agnes Park clutched the arms of her chair, face pale. "Noah!" He gripped her shoulder once, firm. "Stay low, don't move unless I say." Shadow nosed her knee gently before following Noah toward the doors. The sergeant met him at the hall, pistol drawn. SUV rammed the lot barricade. 2, maybe 3 inside, one with a rifle spotted. "Daniel?" Noah demanded. "In holding." The sergeant's eyes were grim. "Safe for now, if we can hold them out." Snow rushed in as the outer doors blew open, deputies fanned out, rifles up, floodlights stabbing the dark. The SUV crouched in the middle of the lot, steam curling from its hood. The side door hung open, figures spilled out, shadows with weapons, spreading fast against the snow. Noah dropped to a knee beside a cruiser, sightline clear. Shadow crouched beside him, teeth bared, ears forward. One of the gunmen fired a wild burst. Rounds sparked off the cruiser hood. Deputies ducked. The sergeant barked commands, voices overlapping with static on the radio. Noah raised his voice, calm through the storm. "You're boxed! Station's live! Reinforcements inbound! Drop it now!" A laugh came back sharp, cutting through wind. "We don't want the station. We want what belongs to us. Hand over the son, and the old woman lives." The words punched through the snow, harder than bullets. Inside, Agnes heard. Her heart lurched, her body folding over, as if the air itself had turned against her. "No," she whispered. "Not Daniel, not me." Noah clenched his jaw. He touched the locket beneath his jacket, thumb grinding its face. "May, guide me now!" Another burst cracked. A round shattered the station's glass door, shards raining across the lobby. Agnes threw her arms up. Shadow barked once, deep, a thunderclap of defiance. Noah's mind stacked options like blocks. Buy time, split their line, draw fire away. His voice cut across the lot. "You'll get neither. Step back before you bury yourselves in snow and lead." The gunmen shifted, uneasy. But their leader, hood up, rifle steady, took one step forward. Noah's body went taut. "Shadow," he whispered. The shepherd launched, a blur across white, angling not for the gun but for the wrist behind it. The man staggered, shot jerking high, round sparking useless off the roof. Deputies surged forward, tackling another suspect. Snow exploded under boots. Agnes, trembling in the lobby, dropped to her knees, clutching the photo tin against her chest. Tears streamed hot against her cold skin. "God, please," she whispered, "save my boy, save us." Noah slammed the rifle barrel aside, elbow to the man's jaw, sending him crashing into the snow. Shadow circled back, snarling, body blocking anyone aiming toward the glass doors. For a heartbeat, the lot became a whirl of light and motion, sirens slicing the storm, shouts, cutting through breathless cold, gunmetal against ice. Then headlights burst at the far edge, more cruisers, reinforcements at last. The remaining gunmen bolted for the SUV, a deputy fired, glass shattered, the engine roared, tires spun, then the vehicle peeled out, disappearing into the night. Silence crashed in its wake, broken only by radios barking status updates and the crunch of boots securing the lot. Noah stood, chest heaving, locket burning against his heart. Shadow returned to his heel, muzzle flecked with snow, eyes bright. Inside, Agnes sobbed in the chair, whispering over and over, "My only son, my only son." The sergeant holstered his weapon. "They'll come back. They don't quit easy." Noah's eyes flicked toward the holding room where Daniel sat, secrets clutched tight. He knew the sergeant was right. The storm wasn't over. This was only the eye. And in the wreckage of glass and snow, Noah realized the true battle wasn't just with men outside. It was with the truth Daniel carried inside. The station smelled of gunpowder and broken glass. Deputies swept the lot, their boots crunching snow as floodlights buzzed overhead. Inside, the lobby was chaos, shards on the floor, radios hissing, medics checking the wounded. Agnes Park sat hunched in a corner chair, her frail hands trembling around the dented tin. The faded photo inside had survived more storms than she had strength to count. Now it quivered with her sobs. "My only son." The words never left her lips, but they lived in her eyes. Noah Ramirez paced the hall outside the holding rooms, Shadow at his heel, steps deliberate. The German shepherd's ears flicked at every sound, keys jangling, radios squawking, Agnes's muffled weeping. The dog was reading Noah as much as the room, tethered to his tension. The sergeant appeared, lines cut deep into his face. One suspect down, the rest gone, but they'll regroup. They won't stop until they've tied their loose ends. Noah's gaze sharpened. Which means Daniel. The sergeant gave a single, heavy nod. He's all but confessed to owing them. Cards, debt, some scheme he thought he could handle. He's on the hook, and they're calling it in. Through the one-way glass, Daniel sat slumped at the metal table, head in his hands. He looked like a man twice his age, shadows bruised under his eyes, sweat cooling on his forehead. Agnes appeared in the hall doorway, leaning on the wall for balance. Shadow padded to her side and pressed against her shin. "Please," she whispered, voice ragged, "let me talk to him." Noah shook his head. "Not yet. He's in shock. He'll lash out." She straightened more than her body seemed capable of. "He's my son. If I don't face him now, I never will." The sergeant looked to Noah. 2 minutes, no more." Noah opened the door. Agnes stepped inside, each footfall fragile but certain. Daniel lifted his head. When he saw her, shame carved his face raw. "Mom?" His voice cracked. "You weren't supposed to be here." Agnes lowered herself into the chair across from him. The tin clattered onto the table between them. She slid the photo out and set it flat. "Do you remember this?" Daniel's eyes flooded. The boy in the cap, gap-toothed smile bright. He covered his face with his hands. I remember everything, and I ruined it all." "Why, Daniel?" she whispered. "Why bring this storm to our door?" He dropped his hands, staring hollow. "I thought I could fix it. Just a few grand. Then it doubled, then tripled. And when I couldn't pay, they said family was leverage." His voice crumbled. "I didn't believe they'd actually come for you. I thought it was a scare." Agnes closed her eyes, pain folding her face. "You sold our home so you could gamble it away. I slept on your couch because I believed you, when you said we were family. And now," she shook her head, tears sliding, "now you'd trade me for your debts." Daniel slammed his fists on the table, voice breaking. "No, I'd trade myself. I'll give them whatever they want. Just don't let them touch you." Noah stepped into the room, Shadow at his side, presence filling the silence. His voice was low, controlled. "That's not how this works. You don't bargain with men who've already tried to kill. You end their game before they end you." Daniel looked up at him, eyes wild. "Then what? I go to prison? She dies with nothing but a son in shackles?" Noah leaned forward, locket glinting from his collar. "Prison is survival. What kills is pride." Agnes reached across the table, her hand shaking but firm as it touched her son's wrist. "Daniel, listen to me. I don't need a perfect son. I just need one alive." His lip trembled. For the first time all night, the walls around him cracked. "Mum, I'm sorry." Shadow huffed, breaking the spell. Outside the glass, the sergeant burst in. "Ramirez, scouts spotted movement at the south lot. They're back, regrouped." Noah's jaw clenched. He looked from Daniel's broken stare to Agnes's tears. The decision was closing in like the storm outside. Protect Agnes at all costs, or drag Daniel into the open and end this before more lives broke. He placed a hand on Shadow's collar. "Then it's time we decide who walks out of this night, and who doesn't." The storm hadn't passed. It had only found its way inside. The south lot floodlights snapped off one by one, as if swallowed by the storm. Shouts rippled through the station, deputies scrambling, radios spitting warnings. Noah Ramirez moved first, his voice sharp. "Get her safe." But Agnes Park didn't move. She clutched Daniel's wrist, refusing to let go. Her frail shoulders shook, yet her gaze cut through her tears. If they want my son, they'll go through me. Daniel's lips parted, guilt choking him silent. The sergeant snapped orders: barricade the East Hall, hold the lobby. Boots thundered. Somewhere in the distance, glass shattered. The attackers were inside. Shadow bristled, ears up, body coiled. A deep growl rumbled through the concrete floor. Noah drew his sidearm, locket heavy against his chest. He crouched low, speaking fast. We move as one. Daniel, behind me. Agnes between us. Shadow will lead. They slipped into the service corridor, emergency lights flickering red. Every step echoed like a drumbeat. Agnes breathed hard, each exhale a prayer. Daniel stayed close, jaw clenched, torn between fear and shame. From ahead came footsteps, two silhouettes, rifles raised, closing fast. Down! Noah barked. He shoved Agnes into an alcove, body shielding hers. Shadow launched, a blur of muscle and fur, slamming into the first gunman. The rifle clattered, the second swung his weapon, but Daniel, acting on pure instinct, lunged, grappling the man's arm. Shots cracked into the ceiling, sparks raining. Noah surged forward, striking the attacker's ribs, wrenching the gun free. The man collapsed, groaning. Daniel stood over him, panting, hands trembling. Agnes whispered, "My boy!" Noah hauled him back. "Don't get noble now, get alive!" They pressed on, turning into the lobby. The front windows were shattered, snow gusting in. The black SUV idled outside like a waiting beast, its headlights carving the room into strips of white. 3 men advanced through the glass, rifles sweeping. Agnes froze. The photo tin slipped from her hand, falling into snow, tracked across the tiles. Daniel reached for her, voice raw. "Mum, go!" But she bent down instead, scooping the tin, clutching it, as if the photo itself could shield them. Noah leveled his pistol, calm slicing through chaos. "Last chance. Drop your weapons." The leader sneered beneath his hood. "We only want the son. Hand him over, and the rest of you walk away." Daniel stepped forward, chest heaving. "Take me then. Leave her." Agnes gasped. "No!" Noah's voice cut like steel. "Not happening." Shadow barked, sharp and thunderous, drawing every eye for a heartbeat. It was enough. Deputies surged from the side hall, rifles blazing controlled bursts. The attackers staggered under the sudden crossfire. The SUV roared, tires screeching as the driver tried to reverse, but more sirens wailed from the street, reinforcements flooding in. The leader fired wildly, glass raining down. Noah shoved Agnes to the floor, covering her with his own body. Daniel dove beside her, arms wrapping his mother in a shield he should have given years ago. Shadow slammed the leader off his feet, pinning him with jaws bared at his throat. The man froze, breath ragged. Deputies swarmed, rifles leveled. One by one, the attackers dropped their weapons, hands raised. The SUV screeched backward, fishtailed into a ditch, then died under, flashing lights. Officers pulled the driver out, face first into snow. Silence returned, broken only by Shadow's growl, fading into heavy panting. Noah holstered his pistol, chest heaving. He looked down at Agnes, still curled beneath him, the tin clutched against her heart. Daniel held her tight, forehead pressed to her shoulder, tears spilling. "I'm sorry, Mom," he whispered, broken. "I almost lost you for good." Agnes lifted her head, tears streaking her face, but her eyes fierce. "I don't need apologies. I need you to come home." Daniel sobbed harder, nodding into her coat. The sergeant moved among the deputies, barking clean-up orders, but his tone had softened. The storm was breaking. Noah knelt beside them, Shadow pressing against his knee, eyes watchful. He touched his locket, thumb smoothing its face. "You got a second chance, Daniel. Most don't. Don't waste it." Agnes looked up at Noah, her voice trembling with gratitude. "You saved us." He shook his head. "No, you saved each other." Outside, dawn broke at last, pale light spilling across the snow like mercy. Agnes stood with Daniel's arm tight around her shoulders. Shadow trotted ahead, tail high, leaving prints that led not into exile, but into return. The photo tin rattled softly in Agnes's hand. She opened it once more, showing the boy in the Little League cap. Daniel leaned close, tears falling onto the paper. I remember, Mum. I won't forget again." She kissed his cheek, whispering, "Then healing starts here." Noah watched them step into the light, his locket warm against his chest. Shadow pressed to his side, steady as ever. The night had tried to end in despair. Instead, it ended in survival, in family reclaimed, in love stronger than fear. And in the quiet cry of dawn, a broken family began again